Yo, what is going on, guys? This is Markstrom here, and today I'll help you decide whether or not you should buy The Division 2 by Ubisoft. First off, I'd like to talk about what kind of game The Division 2 actually is. I see a lot of inaccurate generalizations and comparisons being made, and it's important to address this. The game is a multiplayer RPG, first and foremost, and a third-person shooter well after that. You can liken it much more to games like Destiny, Anthem, any MMOs, and even dungeon crawlers way before you can compare it to true shooters like Apex, Call of Duty, or Counter-Strike. In my eyes, if I were forced to make a comparison, I'd say it's a union of a classless MMORPG meets a tactical looter shooter like Escape from Tarkov, where there are collaborative PvE experiences to chase down loot, theory-craft a build, and dominate the PvP landscape. My first impressions of the game have been incredibly positive. I played the open beta where I focused mostly on PvP, and I've also played the early access release where I've completed all of the main missions, and I'm nearly reaching max level, which is 30. On a base level, it's relatively well optimized. On my gaming rig, I'm currently running a 4790K and a GTX 1080, and I'm on high graphical settings, and I'm receiving roughly 75 frames on average. Visually, the graphics in the landscape are absolutely fantastic. Originally, I was worried that Washington, D.C. wouldn't hold up to New York City from The Division 1, but I found myself enjoying Washington even more, where the abundant points of interest actually keep areas super unique. Again, I've completed the entire main mission storyline, and while it wasn't the most compelling narrative in the cutscenes, the level design and the intricate details are some of the nicest that I've seen in nearly any title, and that is no exaggeration. The battles in the environments are incredibly immersive, and they always feel fresh. New mechanics are constantly being introduced that pose new challenges and threats to you and your squad mates, and together you need to be able to dissect and overcome them to progress. The action is also kept up as you move from one mission to the next, because there are enemies, world events, secret loot caches, and pathways around every corner. Also, the day-night cycle and the dynamic weather have a massive impact on keeping your head in the game and making you feel like each experience is unique. I played the first Division enough to give it a fair shot, but like most, I gave up pretty quickly, like after a few weeks. My experience with The Division 2, however, has been completely different. I know it hasn't been a few weeks, but it's provided me this feeling of a constant itch that you love to scratch. That often comes with new great games. The years of changes that were made by Ubisoft to fix the first iteration of the game have clearly translated really well into a more comprehensive experience in The Division 2, even for the early game. One of the biggest criticisms, though, that people often had, like myself, who disliked the original Division, was that the PvP felt super spongy, where you feel like you'd have to unload magazine after magazine into an enemy to do any damage. It felt unresponsive and ultimately super unrewarding. My Dark Zone experience this time around, however, has been much improved. It is not nearly as spongy. It's very responsive, and it rewards your positioning, your aiming proficiency, your squad tactics, and the proper use of skills over everything else. Actually, if you'd like to see firsthand how the PvP looks and feels for a new player, I'll go ahead and link my open beta Dark Zone experience at the top of the video. On the PvE side of things, AI has both increased armor and increased health pools like you would expect in any other MMO or dungeon crawler, and therefore it still maintains the spongy feeling there. This is a major reason, though, why perks, talents, skills, and all of those mechanics exist, and they provide for a deeper experience for the sake of collaborative PvE in general. So at this point, it's clear that I've enjoyed the game. But let's look at how I typically evaluate whether or not a game is worth the purchase. With any form of entertainment, really, I weigh the cost versus the hours of entertainment provided. So let's say, for example, it costs, roughly $10 to see a movie, probably more, for 2 hours of entertainment, which is going to work out to, $5 an hour, basically. So for a $60 game to be as worth as going to see that movie, you'd have to get 12 hours of gameplay from it. Honestly, after 12 hours of The Division in its early access release, I had almost all the main missions completed, but I hadn't touched a single other aspect of the game. I mean, I was level 22, but I still had every side mission, world event, stronghold, dark zone, conflict, and endgame PvE, etc. still staring me in the face. And that's all assuming that you're only ever going to make one character. I mean, the content upon release, disregarding any future DLC, is certainly there to make this a worthy investment of your time and your money. My one and only disclaimer is this: the entire game can be played and mildly enjoyed alone. However, as with anything else in life, it will be infinitely better enjoyed with company to share your experience with. A group of friends is going to go a long way in your enjoyment of The Division 2. Wherever you end up having the most friends playing should probably dictate which platform you end up purchasing the game for. So to wrap up, at a price point of $60 US for the base version of the game, The Division 2, in my opinion, is absolutely worth the purchase if it's within your entertainment budget. I have a strong feeling it's going to provide a lot of long nights gaming with friends and plenty of memorable gameplay. Have fun, and I'll see you in the Dark Zone.